You're tuned to The Drive on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. Steelers Nation Radio.
Good afternoon, Steeler Nation. It's The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson with you here for 2 hours on this Tuesday. It's a frigid one in western Pennsylvania. We got pump faked by fake spring over the weekend. The cold is back today, Matt, but we are here. We are ready to go, and we've got an interesting, notable mock draft to get us started off the jump here today.
I've been busy. I really have not been on the internet or my usual sites at all today, so let's dig in. I like being surprised by this stuff.
Let's do it. So, Peter Schrager dropping his most recent mock draft today. Of course, Schreg's longtime of the NFL Network, now of ESPN.
I say he's at ESPN now, right?
Yes,
Okay.
And he was on Get Up this morning with Mike Greenberg and laid out his first round mock draft. And I think it's notable for a couple reasons. One, Schregs has been pretty accurate on this stuff over the last few years.
He's pretty dialed in. Yeah, right.
And two, I know you said you've been kind of unplugged so far today. You had some stuff going on this afternoon. His selection for the Steelers was a puzzling one, a bit of a head-scratcher, and we got a handful of tweets from people, and I had some buddies texting me, like, what the heck is this?
Oh, okay.
So let's dig in. I figured for a lot of different reasons. One, just because he's notable, and two, because of what he has the Steelers doing here, that'd be a fun place for us to start today.
Cool. I can't speak for him, but I think Daniel Jeremiah puts this best, where he says, like, for DJ's top 50, he does that with his eyes. For his mock, he does it with his ears.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, and I don't know if Schrager's thinking the same thing, or this is what I'm hearing, or I doubt, just knowing how he works, I would think this is more of what he's hearing as opposed to what he'd do. Or, if I was a GM, I'd do this. He doesn't have a scouting background.
And you've mentioned that sometimes, too, that, like, these guys, it might not seem like the best fit when you just see their mock on the surface.
Yeah.
But you're like, they must know that guy's going in the first round somewhere, and they want to get him in there.
That happens, too.
It might not necessarily be at pick 21 for the Steelers, but he thinks that this guy's going to go right in that range somewhere.
I have to have him in there somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's jump into it. And no shocker, Fernando Mendoza, number one to the Raiders.
Sure.
And did you see the news with him today?
No.
He is not coming to Pittsburgh for the draft.
Oh, really?
He said, I can't stand you Yinzers. You're a bunch of jerks. The last thing I want to do is go put French fries on my sandwich for a couple days. No, he said, I want to share this moment with my family in Miami, and we're going to have a family gathering at our house in Miami.
I totally
get
that, too.
I do, too.
Yeah.
I absolutely
I wouldn't hold that against him one bit.
I think it's easy for us to say, man, I'd like to walk across that stage and have, hundreds of thousands of people scream and yell, but at the same time, being able to stay home, do it with your family.
Yeah, mom's house wouldn't be so bad either,
Wouldn't be terrible, without a doubt. Number 2, the Jets. David Bailey, edge rusher out of Texas Tech. I think
he's the only one I could see not, if they don't go Reese. And I would go with Reese. I think Bailey's a little further along, though, on his edge development, at least. That wouldn't be my pick, but I think if it isn't Reese, I think it'll be Bailey.
Yes, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. So real quick with them, I forget their GM's name. He's a newer guy, but anyway. He is a very traits-based drafter. Okay. Like, some people put Reuben Bain in there. I don't think there's any way he'll take an outlier with short arms at 2. Yeah, I mean, he's just not. It's not the way he operates.
It makes sense.
Yeah,
and that is an important backdrop to know this time of year.
Yeah, oh yeah.
To
know what these GM's tendencies are, and frankly, if you really want to get dorky about it, you can look at who's the decision maker in every building. It's not always a GM, but I mean, it's basically some teams it's 3 people make a decision. I mean, often it was Kevin, Tomlin, and Mr. Rooney, or whatever. They'd come up to a decision. But inevitably, somebody has to be like, okay, I got to split the tie. But a lot of these teams, you can really look back at their history. Who taught them their scouting background? Oh, he's a Parcells guy. He's going to want a big dude, or he's got a history of taking, super long arm guys, or whatever. But there are tendencies of these guys as drafters.
I can't remember if it was yesterday or sometime last week, but you mentioned, hey, keep in mind the new Miami Dolphins brass.
Yeah, they're
is
Packer
the old
people.
Packers people.
Right.
And their tendency was drafting defensive players in the first round.
Yeah. And was not pass catchers, despite the Dolphins are really light on pass catchers.
Yes. So, again, I think it's one of the themes of the weird world of Matt Williamson from The Godfather. Learn to think as those around you think.
Absolutely.
And I think, Matt, that the Arizona Cardinals would sign up for this probably right now, and they get Arvell Reese at pick 3.
Yeah. There's so many directions they could go. I would love to trade back if I were them 5-6 spots and maybe still get Malagoa or, whoever. But if Reese falls in your lap, I think you just take him.
Same.
I mean, even if he's playing off the ball some and on the line some, whatever.
Yeah, I know there's some questions there about, is he a pure edge rusher and how exactly do you use him, particularly, I think maybe to start his career, but
he wants to be an edge rusher. They get paid a lot more.
They get paid a lot more.
But that doesn't mean he can't do linebacker stuff too.
Right. And I think, man, he certainly a organization that's going to have a little patience, and that would, I think, be a good landing spot for him. Number 4, Tennessee Titans. Jeremiah Love, running back out of Notre Dame, and man, that would be a nice piece to put beside Cam Ward.
Yeah, I think he's really going to fall somewhere between 4 and 7. And the Browns at 6 won't be the spot. I think it's 4 or 5 or the Commanders.
I was thinking about this afternoon when I was looking over this.
Yeah.
It's a good year to be Jeremiah Love.
It's a great year to be Jeremiah
what's
Love.
Around you.
Right. You're not fighting quarterbacks for spots.
There's not 5 first-round quarterbacks, and there's not, oh my gosh, this Joe Alt type prospect or this Myles Garrett type or Jamar Chase. Like, he, in fact, is pretty unanimous. Top 3, 4, 5 on everyone's big board.
Right. And maybe 1.
And so in other years, he might have gone 14th. But this year, when you're so high on the big board and some of the traditional positions of value aren't as strong as usual, good year to be a running back and have a great chance to go in the top 5, top 8 here.
Where did Genty go? I think he was 8th or 9th last year. And I remember thinking when we do these mocks 1 year ago, and I probably even said it on the air, that he
was 6th, Genty, last year.
Wow,
that was a few spots higher than I thought.
Okay. But I remember thinking that's about as early as a modern-day running back can possibly go, and really thought like 8, 9. But I was wrong. Like this year, the way it fell, I think Love will go earlier.
So Saquon, the last one we saw go in the top 5?
He went 3,
yeah. I mean, him and Zeke Elliott were back-to-back, not too far apart, top 5. Not back-to-back, but not too far apart. And since then, I don't think we've had a top 5.
It doesn't seem that long ago, and Barkley's still going, obviously, but as analytically inclined as the league has become at such a rapid rate, it's awful difficult for a running back to go that high. Awful difficult.
And this is a good year to do so if you're Jeremiah Love, though, and that's a nice landing spot for him in Tennessee. Number 5, the Giants, Francis Mauigoa, tackle/guard offensive lineman out of the U.
Yeah, I would start him at guard if I were them. They brought back... They have a right tackle and a left tackle at the moment under contract. So, okay.
Number 6, probably the highest that I've seen him in one of these mocks. And I get it, but man, I don't like it. Spencer Fanu, 6th to the Browns.
I can see it. The thing about the Browns is they've done so much work to their O-line. And frankly, they got in better shape than I thought they'd be O-line-wise, where they'd sit walking into the draft. But Fanu for them... is probably the only lineman in this class that might be able to play all 5 spots. So he'll play somewhere.
His bust potential to me is like,
I know.
It's so low.
I think I know we brought this up, but I texted you last night, and I know you already did it, but my Steelers top 21, he's pretty darn high, and you said the same thing. So we'll unveil those maybe tomorrow.
It's weird, and I don't know, maybe it's the very minimal Big 12 ties between the two, and I obviously, as a WVU guy, watch way more Big 12 football than I would like to.
Mm-hmm.
But he kind of I have a similar thought process about him than I did Zach Frazier, and I know they're different type of prospects.
Yeah.
But the only question in my mind was, are they going to be B+ players for a decade, or can they be all pro caliber?
Yeah, not he might bust out. Yeah, right.
The floor is he's a solid B-level starter.
Yeah,
that's the floor, and I think that same way about Fanu, like I did with Frazier. He's going to play somewhere and be good, but he might play somewhere and be great.
Yes, and frankly, I wouldn't blame the Browns for this.
I wouldn't either.
Yeah, I understood.
Number 7, I think they would sign up for this in blood right now, too. Sonny Styles goes to the Commanders.
Yeah. Commanders actually are in pretty good shape. What if Love falls to them? Downs, Styles, Tate.
They'll have some options.
I'd almost rather pick there than third. I mean, you just they do the decision-making for you.
Number 8, Reuben Bain Jr., edge rusher out of the U to the Saints.
The Saints, okay. Yeah, they can go a lot of directions, too. They kind of take who falls to them.
And then number 9, the Chiefs, Jordan Tyson, wide receiver from Arizona State. Ahead of Tate.
There's no way that's happening.
According to Schrager, Tyson goes 9.
I have heard some rumblings that the league is less concerned about Tyson injury stuff than maybe the media is. But I think Tate's definitely going to be the wide receiver 1.
And you know how much I like Tyson, too.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be one thing if it was just, it felt like he had some bad luck. But, man, for him, it's been a collarbone, it's been a knee, it's been a hamstring.
Hamstring's the thing they keep bringing up.
Like different injuries.
Doesn't quite get over it.
Yeah.
And frankly, his tape in 2024 is better than his 2025 stuff.
Yes.
And it's probably injury related, but,
Absolutely. Number 10, the Cincinnati Bengals. They've got some intriguing options here. Down still on the board. Carnell Tate still on the board, although I don't think they'd go wide receiver this high with what they already have. But they go Mansour Delane, corner out of LSU.
Okay. No problem with that. I mean, I would prefer Downs if I were them, but corners are harder to get.
Yeah.
Their corner room's just better than their safety room. But they did sign the dude from the Chiefs at safety.
Number 11, the Miami Dolphins. This is another team that I think would treat this as probably a run to the podium type situation. They select Carnell Tate at number 11.
Yeah, even what we said.
I know we just said their history of drafting defensive guys, but
if you get what most people think is wide receiver 1,
they just so desperately need weapons.
They do, and give Willis somebody to throw to.
That's the biggest thing.
Yeah,
You have to at least be able to get a fair estimate of what he is, and part of that is going to be giving him some weapons, giving him some tools to throw the ball to, certainly.
I think Sadiq could actually come into play there, too. I mean, if they go a pass catcher, I really believe Tate will be gone by then. I don't know if they'd take wide receiver 2, take Lemon or Tyson.
Number 12, the Dallas Cowboys. They'd probably sign for this in blood, too. Caleb Downs, safety out of Ohio State.
Yeah, I think they really want to land one of these premium defenders. And the chances of getting them at 12, I think, are less than 50%.
I would agree. He feels like the one that has the chance to be there, though, just because of the quote unquote positional value.
I always think he can't get past the Bengals, but if they took a corner over him, I'd get it too.
13, the Rams on the clock. They select Mekhi Lemon, wide receiver out of USC. So 3 wideouts in the top 13.
I'm definitely thinking stronger and stronger that's going to be one of the receivers. I think Tate will be gone. Maybe wide receiver 2 comes off the board there, in my estimation. And Lemon would fit for those guys.
14, those Baltimoreans, the Ratbirds, select Kenyon Sadiq, tight end out of Oregon. Man, I would hate that. I would hate that.
Heard a couple people linking them to them because their offense coordinator comes over from Chicago. You saw a lot of Loveland and Kmet on the field together. Lamar's a great passer, but he's better between the numbers and intermediate. I was a little shocked that they locked up Andrews because he's going to be there for at least basically for 2-year deal, basically, but they did lose Likely.
They lost Likely.
Yeah.
And Andrews is 31.
Yeah.
And he's getting on that other
and
side.
I would say he's declining.
Yeah.
He's
still a good player, but not what he was two years ago.
I mean, he is Lamar's, like, his whoopee.
His whoopee.
Right.
That's right. Number 15.
But I can see Sadiq landing there.
I could too. And, man, I would not like that. Number 15, the Tampa Bay Bucks select Jermod McCoy, corner out of Tennessee.
Okay. They lost Dean. They drafted the Benjamin kid from Notre Dame in the second round last year, who was hurt at this time, if you remember, when he got drafted. And I don't think he was ever 100% either. So maybe you get another big – they're always going to get big-bodied corners.
The Jets with their first-round B pick at 16 overall, Omar Cooper Jr., wide receiver out of Indiana. So 4 wide receivers in the top 16.
I don't think there'll be 4 receivers in the top 16, but I do think Cooper could be wide receiver 4, and I definitely think the Jets could go wide receiver there as well for 2 reasons. First off, really all they have is Garrett Wilson at the moment. I mean, it's really lean. And I think this team, amongst others, including the Steelers, has to think about the nest probably for a next-year quarterback. You'd like a receiver or 2 in place,
I completely agree, and that makes a lot of sense for the Jets if, this is the year to build that nest, and then next year go and get a quarterback.
Yeah.
17, the Detroit Lions. Dun, dun, dun. Venga Ioane, guard from Penn State.
Yeah. I mean, you often see like Proctor there who could start at guard and then move the tackle or be a tackle, whatever. Or just plug the guard in and he would fit them extremely well.
18, this one, couple surprises coming down the stretch here in the back half of this first round.
Curious about the Steeler pick.
For the first 17 here, there's been a couple, hey, we haven't seen David Bailey mocked second overall that often.
Yeah.
There's been a couple things like that. But for the most
Tate
part,
going as late as he did was a little surprising.
For the most part, though, the top 16, 17 wasn't shocking, but there's some real surprising ones here. Starting at number 18, Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, safety out of Toledo to the Vikings. I think that's the highest I've seen him mocked.
You always see Thieneman to the Vikings.
Correct.
There is a safety need.
Yep.
I think Thieneman's the better player, but McNeil-Warren, I mean, he's 6'3" with super long arms and makes a ton of plays. I mean, it's hard to really be critical of him.
Somebody, Michael, just tweeted and said, it's Vega Ioane. There's no N, not Venga. Brother, what if I were to tell you that the way your name is spelled is not necessarily the way it's pronounced?
I think they call him Venga, though.
He did at the podium.
Okay.
At the combine. Somebody asked him how to pronounce his name, and he said Venga Ioane.
Okay.
So don't take it up with me, Michael. Take it up with him. I used to call him Vega. Now I call him Venga.
I used to call him Vega, too, yeah.
Oh, goodness. I love you people. Number 19, Monroe Freeling goes to the Carolina Panthers out of Georgia.
Quite possibly. I can buy that.
He's going to be an interesting one to see where he ultimately
lands. I don't think there's any chance. Not maybe sure the Steelers would take him, but I think he's definitely going in the top 20.
Yes. Good way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
Number 20, the Cowboys once again, Akeem Messidor, edge rusher out of the U.
Okay. They are pretty much in win-now mode, and I always think about him as somebody that's not for tomorrow, it's for today.
And I tell you what, if you're Dallas right now, you could add Caleb Downs and Messidor. That's not too shabby.
That's why you made these trades and why you set yourself up, yeah.
Exactly right. And so on the clock, your Pittsburgh Steelers at pick 21, and you already know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to break and tease it and make you all wait till we return. Where do the Steelers go at 21 here? Man, there's a lot of people still on the board. Casey Conception, Caden Proctor, Maxie N.H.R., Dylan Thieneman, a whole bunch of options. We'll discuss. Just getting started here on The Drive on this Tuesday. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson, Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network.
What's up, NFL fans? The NFL Draft is finally here. And while you might not know who your team is drafting this year, you do know your watch party's number one pick, Bud Light. The clean, crisp taste that has all the scouts talking. Guess that's why it's been the group's go-to draft beer season after season. Be sure to order a round for the table before your team's on the clock. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Steelers on the clock here in Peter Schrager's first round mock draft unveiled on Get Up this morning. And he has got, I think, a name, Matt, that
Who'd you say were some of the availables?
Availables are
Thieneman.
Yes.
Remember?
Dylan Thieneman, Casey Concepcion, Denzel Boston, Caden Proctor, Ian H.R. is still there. Caleb Lomu is still there. Dylan Thieneman is still there. Colton Hood still there.
Okay.
A lot of options.
Yeah.
Certainly.
There were several of those I would put the check mark on.
Yeah. And again, the guy that
you make it sound like it's not going to be any of them.
The guy that Schrags has the Steelers picking here, Matt, I don't even know if you and I have discussed him or mentioned him much other than rolling through mock drafts.
Yeah.
Because it's an edge rusher, TJ Parker out of Clemson.
Oh.
I'm
not big on the player, and I don't understand the fit. Unless he thinks somebody's getting traded.
That was my only, when I told you, when we were getting tweets about this and a couple of, my group chats with the buddies were blowing up.
Yeah.
Like, Wes, what the heck's going on here? My only thing was like, I don't know, maybe he's hearing that the Steelers are going to.
Highsmith?
Highsmith.
I think Highsmith would be more likely to go than Watt.
I don't think it's going to be Herbig, although I could certainly see teams around the league inquiring about Herbig.
Yeah.
That's my only. The Steelers right now have 3 of the best edge rushers in the National Football League.
They do.
And they have a capable backup in Jack Sawyer as
Who's
well.
a quality player,
Quality player. So
exceeded my expectations, yeah.
I just don't see this unless one of those guys is on the move.
Yeah, and you better get a lot if you're moving one of those dudes.
Boy, you better.
Yeah, and again, I'm not a big TJ Parker fan, to be honest with you. Like, we opened the show by saying a lot of these mocksters, whatever, just want to make sure that they get the right 32 in the first round so they can say, oh, I had him in the first round. You know, he didn't go to the team I thought he was going to. And maybe he is here in Parker as a first-round pick. And there was all kinds of, like all the Clemson dudes, there was all sorts of preseason buzz about him. You know, he's going to be one of the top picks in this draft. I don't see it. I'm not super impressed. I don't think he's a first-round player. And, I mean, if this is your answer to trading Highsmith or whoever, I don't love the answer either.
I echo that sentiment.
Yeah.
And listen, it might have been a bigger picture thing that wasn't necessarily their fault. But all of the Clemson guys that had the first round, even top 15 grades heading into this year, Peter Woods, Blake Miller, TJ Parker.
Yeah, Blake Miller had a good year.
Yeah,
but Klubnik did not either. He was the other one, right?
Like, they all kind of underwhelmed a little bit.
Massively. Do you have any idea, did their season go really goofy?
Yes, it did.
I knew they were like a top 3 preseason team. Like them in Penn State.
Because they were in the playoff the year before that. They played that tough back and forth game. They lost to Texas in the first round of the playoff. And they were much like Penn State. They were one of the
top 5.
One of the
easily.
top 5, playoff favorites, all those things. And they ended up I think they played Penn State in a bowl game. I think both teams were like 7-5 or 6-6.
I thought they lost a handful of games.
Yeah. It was a, disappointing year based on the expectations that they had, coming into the season in August. Now, again, that doesn't reflect directly on those 3 or 4 individuals.
No.
It's an entire team and a coaching staff and a program.
But it was an underachieving year in Clemson.
Yes, and that feels like an underwhelming selection here at pick 21.
Yeah, I would. Needless to say, he's not in my top 21 for the Steelers and didn't even consider him. So, side note, I'm not sure how you did it, and I'm not 100% done. I'm going to look at it again tonight. But I basically just sit there and typed in any name I would consider. So I ended up with like 28 names. I'm like, he's number 28. You're out. Delete. and he didn't even come close. I mean, I didn't even consider typing his name as
Same. I have my top 21, and then I have like 3 other like honorable mentions.
Yeah.
That I really thought about.
There were a couple that were close.
So he wasn't even in my top 25 or 24.
No.
I understand the Steelers value edge rushers. I understand Peter Schrager is not a moron.
Yeah, I agreed.
But that one
and the league values him.
That is certainly.
I could see him going in round 1. I wouldn't take him in round 1 for anybody, but there's a lot of buzz that he will go in round 1.
So that was the outcome for the Steelers. A little bit of a head scratcher. But certainly,
I guess people are talking about it today, though, huh?
And this is not from some random person on social media. This is from someone who's very tapped in. 22 back-to-back Clemson guys here. Blake Miller, the tackle, goes to the Chargers.
Okay, I absolutely think he will be a first-round pick.
Bump inside to guard if he goes to the Chargers.
See, he was one of my almost in the Steeler 21. But I was a little biased against guys like Lomu and him that I think are only tackles. I mean, he's so tall. He's like 6'8" or 6'9". I don't know that he'd be a good guard. So I don't see that fit either.
That's it.
I could see them going guard.
Sure.
But like I would take Proctor if I were them instead or somebody like that.
That was kind of my thought process too. Real quick, for this exercise that we're going to do tomorrow, top 21.
Yeah.
Did you do that as in first pick I'm taking, second pick I'm taking, or is it just a big board?
No.
Does that make sense?
I'm not sure what the difference is in your question, but my choice is...
Mendoza probably wouldn't be number 1 on my big board, but he would be my number 1 if I'm drafting for the Steelers.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying?
Exactly. So
that's how we're doing
the ladder. Yes,
good.
Exactly.
Perfect. That's how
I am in charge of the pick, and I get the choice of anyone I want in this draft.
Steelers big board.
Yeah. If the Steelers had the 5th pick in the draft... And your favorite 4 players are gone for the Steelers.
Love it. Okay.
Yeah.
Love it. That's the same way I did it then. Just making sure.
It's hard.
The first couple were easy-ish.
Yeah.
But then it got around pick 5 or 6, it got hard.
Yeah. Or who to cut.
And then when you get to
right.
like 14, 15, 16, it gets really hard.
And there's a point there I'm like, it happens every year, even with a really strong draft class. You get to a point where like, man, I really hope it doesn't get to this guy. And it never does. I mean, the worst 20 don't go off the board. Right. You end up with like number 12.
Correct. So back-to-back Clemson guys at 21 and 22. The Eagles on the clock, and they take Denzel Boston.
I can see that. I do think A.J. Brown's going to go. And I think this draft will tell us so.
Starting to feel more and more like an inevitable conclusion.
Yeah.
Back-to-back wide receivers off the board as the Browns at 24 take Matt's crush, KC Concepcion.
And they took Fano to begin with.
That'd be
I would like that haul for them a lot.
That'd be a nice haul for them. It certainly would. 25, one of the names that you just mentioned not too long ago, Matt, Caden Proctor out of Alabama to the Chicago Bears.
Maybe. I mean, the left tackle they took from BC got hurt in the playoff game, so maybe that's their thought process. I really think it'll be defense for the Bears, though.
It feels like the bigger need.
Yeah.
On the
D's
defensive
pretty
side
banged
of football. But hey, Caden Proctor, certainly an intriguing prospect, still available there at 25.
And I would bet Schrager did not want Proctor to fall much further than that.
And again,
he's going to be a first-round pick.
That's part of these mock drafts as well.
Yeah.
From Caden Proctor at 25 to Caden McDonald at 26, the defensive tackle from Ohio State to the Bills.
Maybe, but they took Walker out of Kentucky last year, he's taller, but he's nosy-ish. I mean, he's not a fleet of foot upfield guy, and he played quite well. I didn't think he'd be as good as he was. I don't think McDonald should be a first-round pick, but he's a lot like the Ohio State kid from last year that the Lions took in the first round. I mean, he's just a pure nose with no pass rush. They're not worth first-round picks, guys. I know people think they are, but they're not anymore.
That was another. Again, there was some here in the backstretch that really surprised me. That was one of them. I was so one of my old college roommates is from Rochester, so right outside of Buffalo.
Okay.
Huge Bills fan. And him and I were talking on the phone last night, and he was like, "What do I got to do to get Dexter Lawrence to Buffalo?"
Ooh.
I was like, "Well, dude, you already gave up your second-round pick. Do you really want to give up your first-round pick?" And he's like, "Buddy, have you seen how we've drafted the last few years?" He's like, I don't want any picks. I don't want any picks. Just give me proven players. I was like, that's not a bad concept.
I get that. Like, Josh Allen's going to be here forever. Yeah, give me sexy.
We need to win right now. I'll take a 28-year-old defensive tackle.
Give me sexy Dexy, and let's go.
I don't trust these guys to make good picks anyways.
Yeah.
27, the Niners on the clock, and they select Caleb Lomu, the other Utah offensive lineman.
They need a succession plan for Trent Williams. Again, though, it's kind of like the Steelers a little bit, where you'd love somebody to play guard for a year, then go to left tackle. And I don't know Lomu's a guard.
I don't think so.
Yeah, although their right tackle situation is not as good as the Steelers either.
Him and Freeling seem like the two biggest. They are what they.
Yeah.
It's a weird year for offensive linemen and versatility in this class.
There is.
Almost all these guys feel like they could play more than one position, except for Freeling and except for Lomu.
Yeah, and I would say Miller too.
Miller too is a good call.
Yeah,
Miller's
and he might only be right tackle, but the right-left thing's up in the air.
Pick 28, the Houston Texans on the clock. And deep in the heart of Texas, they break Matt Williamson's heart, and they select Max Ianachor.
Okay.
Tackle/guard out of Arizona
They've
State.
done a ton to their O-line, good or bad, but they've given it a facelift 2 years in a row. I think he'd play somewhere other than center immediately, and that's a good start,
29, the Chiefs for the Rams pick, the McDuffie trade.
Okay.
Pick 29, they select Colton Hood, the other corner out of Tennessee. So the Chiefs come away
he's a real
with
good
Jordan
player.
Tyson and Colton Hood in the first round.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, again, that's a McDuffie replacement.
They might sign up for that right now. Pick 30, another team that is making their second first-round pick here. It's the Dolphins. Remember, they took Carnell Tate, 11th. They take Dylan Fenneman here, 30th, safety out of Oregon. I think that'd be a good haul for Miami as well.
I don't know that either one of those players lasts as long as those picks.
Same.
I would bet both are gone by the pick that they have them slotted here.
And then, Matt, to close it out here with the two, the Super Bowl runner-up and the Super Bowl champions, the two teams that were the last two standing last year, these both surprised me. 31, Kalen Rutledge, guard out of Georgia Tech.
Ooh.
I like him, but I think this is the first time I've
never
seen
seen
him
the
mocked
first.
in the first round.
Yeah, me too. I think he's got a really good chance to be the Steelers' second-round pick. And I don't think we've talked about that enough. He's rumored to have been here for a visit. He's the guy that had the best short shuttle, and which is almost 100% hit rate for amongst like guards. Steelers definitely are aware of that stuff, whether they will ever admit it or not. I will bet everything I believe that he will. I think there's a decent chance he's the Pittsburgh Steelers starting left guard on opening day. And I think that, but however, Schrager's thinking he's going. If people start talking about top 50 or whatever, right,
something like that,
ahead of Pregnon or Brasantis, I think all three of those guys are fighting for guard too.
And then this one, perhaps the biggest head scratcher of them all. The Seattle Seahawks at pick 32 select running back from Notre Dame. No, not Jeremiah Love, Jadarian Price. I
think he's being slept on a little because I think he's clearly the second best running back.
I just don't know about a first-round pick.
I know. I think he's more. They might even get him at the end of 2. Yeah, but it's a huge need. Charbonnet's not healthy. Walker's gone. It's the most running back needed team in the league. And I do urge people, if you go look at Price's kickoff returns, it's pretty good.
And
it's pretty good.
That's a valuable piece of this equation.
Yeah.
Particularly for a young guy. Interesting. So that was Shreg's first-round mock. A bunch of you tweeted us about that. And so I just figured it'd be
it's fun to go through.
A good place to start and go through, and it's that time of year. Michael tweets us back about Venga and says, "Sorry, I've listened to Matt Williamson butcher names for 5+ years now."
I think I used to be better about it. This year I've been really rough.
See, I think so.
Rob used to kill me for Faltanu. I used to destroy his name well into his Steeler career.
These conversations always still remind me of our dearly departed brother Tunch Yilkin, who for years called San Antonio Holmes.
Yeah.
Wolf would just shake his head and be like, he's not a city in Texas. He's a Super Bowl MVP. I feel like, Matt, you and I have had these conversations before.
Yeah.
I do a lot of self-scouting of myself in this business. Not nearly as much as I did when I broke into the business and first started doing radio all the time. I used to drive my wife crazy. I would listen to myself back.
I never listen to myself because I don't learn anything from myself. I listen to others.
I was like a coach watching film.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, okay, I do this.
We could run this play better. Yeah.
And my two things that I would always ding myself, crush myself for is I didn't, and I still think my biggest weakness as a radio host is I'm not a good interviewer. I listen to something.
I could be better at that too.
I'm used
to being asked the questions.
I listen to Rob King and Max Starks and people like Randy Bauman in this building that I think are amazing interviewers. And
Dale was great at it. He's asked a million questions over his years, like Pursuta. Right? Yeah.
But in this building particularly, I think Kinger's really good. I think Randy Bauman, the host of the DVE Morning Show, is amazing.
Okay.
I'll never forget one time I was producing, and they had, I don't know if I should say his name. This was a couple years ago, but I'm producing the DVE Morning Show, and they had a pretty prominent stand-up comedian, a name and a face that most people would recognize, and he just did not want to be here. So very clearly, was contractually obligated.
Yeah.
Was doing a show in Pittsburgh.
And he's a celeb. I mean, he's
been on a couple famous TV shows and movies. I mean, he's a big.
He probably is a Netflix special.
He's
or
not
whatever.
the stand-up comedian that's selling 1,000 tickets down. Like he's
they'll
doing
do anything to get on TV.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he just was not feeling it. Did not want to be here. Was barely given any answers, and somehow Randy Bauman got him for like 18 minutes to just talk.
And he was good, yeah.
The whole time I'm listening to it, and I'm like, when is he going to wrap this thing up? And slowly but surely, he kind of started to peel back the layers and get into topics that I'm so bad at that. Interviewing and name pronunciation. Those are like my two biggest things that I used to crush myself on all the time. And you even remember last summer, I kept calling Skylar Thompson Tristan Thompson.
Yeah, well, there's things like that are different.
I think I've gotten a little bit better, but still room to grow.
So your Thompson one reminds me of... Remember Fredrickson, the Dallas center, who was a really good player?
Yeah, Trent Fredrickson, right?
I call him Rob all the time because our backup center at Pitt was Rob Fredrickson. So I think center Fredrickson, and it just falls out of my mouth. That to me isn't destroying names. That's just a mistake. That's a shortage in your brain. It's just a wiring issue in your brain or whatever. This year I've been the worst I've ever been with draft prospects names. But I will say, I get way better with them because the problem is all these names, my first exposure to 90% of them is reading them. Like I don't watch that much college football.
And guess what? They're not saying the offensive linemen's names very often in college football.
And those guys are not either. And then you start watching clips of them or tape of them. I don't have any broadcaster on. So until you start hearing podcasts, and then frankly, once they get drafted and they're in the NFL lexicon, then I get it. But this year was my worst for sure. So I think that's just my age, to be honest with you.
Moats used to crush me, man. Justin Jefferson, the Vikings wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
There was this was a couple years ago. I don't remember exactly the circumstances, but his Steelers must have been playing the Vikings or something like that. And WVU had a defensive lineman, Jordan Jefferson, who now plays for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, he was good. Yeah.
He transferred his last year to LSU and was like a 3rd or 4th round draft pick, I think. I kept calling Justin Jefferson Jordan Jefferson, and Moats was like, dude, can you just get the Morgantown out of your mind for this week?
It's the best receiver in the league.
Stuff
right.
like that.
Yeah.
Tristan Thompson, Scott. So I guess that was more my mix-up was like crossing signals of guys.
I think the wires just get crossed
wires
sometimes.
crossed
Right.
of same last name, different first name, but it's funny. We appreciate you tweeters keeping us on our toes. And Michael, anytime you want to throw Williamson under the bus, that's all right with me.
And I'll also say, on a normal day, I probably speak into a microphone 3 to 5 hours a day, depending on the time of year. Some stuff's going to come out wrong.
Yep.
And I don't apologize for it. Right.
I've said this. I don't know if I've said
Nobody
this.
proofreads it. It's not like a Word document where the red squiggly line comes up or.
I don't know if I've said this yet now in the 10 months that you and I have been doing a show regularly together on this program, but I've definitely said it on these airways before. I don't care who you are, if you're the best broadcaster ever.
Yeah.
Eventually you're going to step in it.
Oh, yeah.
Whether you do TV, radio, even print, like you said, if you're talking for hours a day, if you're broadcasting for hours a day, eventually everybody makes mistakes at work.
Yeah,
Of
course. Right,
eventually
right.
you're gonna say something dumb, or you're gonna butcher someone's name, or you're gonna get a stat or a coach or a history thing completely off. It's gonna happen.
Yeah, and I'm not a computer programmer that's, checking your work or whatever, We're
going to start making TV go back, though, and just comb over everything. And if we mess it up, use AI to fix it. Almost done here with the first hour. Those were 2 beefy segments to get us started. You know what? We got a few minutes to close down the hour when we return. What do you say we take some hour 1 tweets here?
Yeah, that
for
would
a
work.
little switch it up before maybe we get. And you know what? To start hour 2, I want to get into that conversation with you of where you think the round that the quarterbacks in this draft class should be drafted.
Yeah, where you would take them.
Yes,
okay.
correct.
For the Steelers is how we structured that,
correct.
I think, right? Okay.
Yes. So
that's fine.
We'll do all that and more as we roll along here. Uhler, Williamson, it is The Drive, Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Closing down the first hour of the drive here on this Tuesday, Matt. We have just a few minutes, a little bit of a shorter segment here to get our clock back on schedule.
Yeah, we were rambling a little bit those first 2.
Hey, you got to ramble on, Led Zeppelin, from time to time here. So let's just hit a couple tweets for a few minutes before we reset for hour number 2 and get into some quarterback conversation. Mr. Steel City tweets and says, is there realistically a player that could be there at 53 that would change your guys' plans of going O-line wide receiver or wide receiver O-line? Someone such as Jacob Rodriguez, Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, Caleb Banks, Katie McDonald. Thanks, guys. You guys are awesome. A good question.
There's many.
I think so.
Yeah. That are realistic. We're not going to say Caleb Downs. Right, of course. Those are good examples. I think there's going to be a lot of teases, I bet there's 3 or 4 corners. They'd be like, man, that's a good player. I thought he'd go top of round 2. He's fallen.
Linebackers definitely in that mold.
Yeah, I don't know that there'd be a safety because I think the top 3 are gone.
Same.
And like the LSU dude would be like, but it doesn't shock me he's there.
Yes, that's a good way to one of those top 3 would shock me if they were there.
Yeah, and I think you take him a second.
Yes.
Like if we played the quarterback game with safeties, I'll give you 53 for any one of those safeties right now in a heartbeat.
In a heartbeat.
Yeah, in a heartbeat.
Yesterday,
of course.
I would have done that.
Right.
Yeah.
So yes. And frankly, LSU safety, to me, might be the 53rd pick to the Steelers. And I have no problem with that. But, I mean.
But it wouldn't be a shocker.
It wouldn't be like, oh, man, I'm going to change my plan for him,
Yeah, as I'm thinking it through, it
wouldn't
feels like
with any running back or tight end.
No.
Yeah, I mean.
Because Kenyon Sadiq would be the only one, but he's not making it to 53.
Yeah.
I think it would have to be a linebacker or a defensive tackle. Or a corner like you mentioned too.
Yeah, I'd say Banks maybe.
Yeah,
I mean, man, he's a little different than everybody else. There are a couple defensive tackles that I would be at least considered. Rodriguez is a good one at linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
Probably drying up after that because everyone else is O-line and receivers.
Everyone is O-line and receivers
right,
again, right? Actually, you know who else could change that plan at 53? Ty Simpson.
Yeah, I didn't say him on purpose because I was going to bring it up next time.
But
right.
I at least wanted to get it out there.
Yeah, that's why I was saving that for next segment.
Oh, I like it.
Okay.
I like it. Scott in New Jersey.
And there's no center.
No.
Not a center. I'm going to say, hey, you want to learn how to be a guard or something weird like that.
I was about to say, how dare you?
Or an edge. How about, is there an edge? I mean, it'd have to be a really special.
Oh, my goodness. How is that guy still
here? And I don't know who that even would be, to be honest with you.
Scott in New Jersey tweets and says, if you were to buy one Steeler jersey of a player under 30 you think will be here long term, who would it be? And no, Wes, you can't say Zach Frazier. Well, then it's no one, Scott.
It would definitely be Zach Frazier for me.
Yeah. Troy Fautanu.
Yeah.
Joey Porter Jr. If you're going under 30.
Porter was my first thought. Frazier's actually the answer to the question, in my opinion. That's not a knock on Fautanu at all. Just this organization gets a center and goes to the Pro Bowl, and they never leaves until forever until they find the next one 12 years from now. I think it's easily Frazier, Fautanu, Porter. I wouldn't say Harmon yet. I wouldn't say Benton yet.
And the under 30, I would tell you to go buy a
Cam Hayward.
I would go tell you to buy a Cam Hayward jersey because that's going to be an all-timer. But
yeah. I forget what Penguin it was, but my son got a big life-size fathead over his bed when he was 7 or 8 years old. I'm like, get Sid, dude.
It's going to be there for a long time.
Right. I forget who he ended up getting, and he was gone in a year or whatever.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's how it happens sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the under 30 is an interesting caveat. You guys know this about me. I think if you've listened to the show, Matt knows this about me.
Because obviously, if you have Watt or Hayward, you're always going to be happy with it, even if they would happen to end their career somewhere else. They're Steelers.
I'm a little bit of a jersey dork.
Yeah.
My wife and I just did some spring cleaning a couple weeks ago, and I took a plastic bin, like a storage bin.
Yeah.
And I put probably 5 Steelers jerseys, 2 or 3 WVU jerseys, a old NHL All-Star Game jersey.
Okay.
I took those out of my closet because I have no room to put anything else.
Don't get me started. I get so much heat for that. And just so happens when you come home from the owners meeting for the 4th year in a row with this much Nike stuff, and the stuff from 2 years ago is still in plastic with tags on it. Why don't you throw some of your old stuff away? I'm like, there's nothing wrong with it, but I just don't have room. I haven't spent money on clothes in a long time.
I swear.
Either the Steelers give it to me, or it's
And I don't buy nearly as I for the most part. I have a one jersey a rule now.
Okay.
Usually on my birthday every year, I kind of treat myself and buy one, and then my wife rolls her eyes at me and she's like, "You better not buy any more."
Yeah.
But I've been doing that thing too. You and I have discussed this, where I'm not completely against it, and if you're someone who does it, I am not knocking you for it. But the idea of buying a 23-year-old's jersey now when I'm 35 is just a little different to me than it was 10 years ago buying a jersey.
Yes. When I was 35, I was starting to feel that way too. Now at 52 or 3 or whatever the heck I am, I think my jersey days are behind me. I'm
Mine
not sure.
Mine are pretty close.
It might put a 66 on if I went to a Penn game or something like that, but it's pretty slim. But there is a closet in our spare bedroom that was pretty full of jerseys over the years that now has been massively picked through by the son.
I make that joke. I make that joke with my wife too, because we have 2 girls. And I don't want to go too far in the weeds with everybody, but if the miracles of science have anything to say about it, I cannot have children again. All right. If you're picking up what I'm putting down, I don't want to get too much into the details, but the miracles of science have anything.
Those can be reversed, though.
They can, but my doctor told me that he's really good, and it would be very painful if I decided to do so. Which I said, "Heck yeah, doc, let's do this."
Not as painful as having a 3rd kid.
I used to say. I made that joke with my wife too, of like, what am I going to do with all these jerseys? I don't know if the girls are going to be into them. I can't pass them down to my son one day. But I did for my birthday back in February. I got a USA hockey jersey, of course,
you told me, yeah.
winning the gold medal. But that might be the last one for a while. That could be it. I do need to get I have a Zach Frazier WVU jersey that my wife got me for Christmas a few years ago that got signed by him and everything. So I do need to get a Steelers Zach Frazier jersey, get that signed by him at some point, and then I'll throw him up on the wall in my basement next to each other.
Yeah, that's something. That's different, displaying it.
Yeah.
So my son passed down a bunch of his jerseys that he quickly outgrew, of course. That when he was a kid. Now he's 6'5". He's not, when he bought him when he was 6th grade, 7th grade, whatever, to his first cousin, my sister's kid. So good for him. But then he inherited all mine, basically. And they went to a St. Patty's Day party. He wears a Joe Green jersey from North Texas State that I had that was green.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I have a Marino Pitt one. I have a Bradshaw college one, Joe Green college one that I even forgot I had. Yeah, a Penn's practice jersey, stuff like that. He's like, what's this?
That's great.
Yeah.
I love it. That's awesome. All right, new assignment for all of you at home. If you're a Jersey dork, take pictures of your favorite four and tweet them to me and Matt so we can see them.
Yeah.
How about that?
And I'm all in favor of the signed one hanging in your basement.
That's a little different.
That's like art. Right.
Absolutely. Hour in the books. Another hour to go. That was a fun tweet from Scott there that got us completely off track. But when we return, we're going to talk some quarterbacks. If we were the Steelers, all of these big-name quarterbacks, which round would we be comfortable drafting them in? Spoiler alert, Fernando Mendoza is going to be round 1. But you have to tune in to find out who the rest are. In hour number 2, Uhler, Williamson, The Drive, Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Good evening, Steeler Nation. How we doing? Well, that's good. Us too. It is hour number 2 of The Drive here on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Wes Uhler and Matt Williamson with you as always. And Matt, a little bit of a different, but I think it'll be a fun exercise here. We mentioned this on the show yesterday. Quarterbacks from a black and gold lens focus with a Steelers perspective. Quarterbacks that you would draft by round.
Yes, and I've given this some thought since yesterday, and I don't mean to burst your bubble or the bubble of the people listening. I'm not going to be real kind to any of them. The more I think it through. So do you want to do it this way? Like the genie comes out of the bottle and says, will you give up your 5th round pick for Klubnik? No, genie, I'll you know what I mean?
Kind of, but can I just twist it a little bit?
Yeah.
The genie comes out of the bottle and says, for each round, you can give up a pick right now to get a quarterback in that round. So
that's what I mean. Like he comes up and says, I'll trade you your 5th round pick for Klubnik right now. Yes or no?
The easy one and the obvious one is first round. You trade your first round, 21st overall pick for Fernando Mendoza. Yes.
Yes. Done deal, genie. Right.
Done deal, genie. That's the easy one.
Yes. After that, I think it's really hard. And frankly, I'm going to side on no, I think, on a lot of them.
So, do you want to roll through it by round? Do you want to roll through
I don't know,
it
just
by
pull up somebody's rankings and we'll kind of go like best to worst, because the Simpson conversation's a good one.
And I think that's probably the beefiest one of all.
Yeah.
Because Mendoza's the clear-cut number 1. I think Simpson, pardon me, I almost said Clemson. I think Simpson is the clear-cut number 2. Not quite as unanimous as Mendoza, but pretty close.
Sure.
The only real argument with Simpson is, would you take him in the first round? Would you take him in the second round? Where in the first round? Would it be early in the second round? That type of thing. So let's put it on the table then. Genie comes out of the bottle and says you can trade your second round pick right now for Ty Simpson.
Yeah. And I'm not sure.
I think I would just because it's 53.
It's so worth it.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, it really is. You know, like
it's the Vegas odds conversation that you said the other day. If this hits, it pays 5
It pays
to 1.
huge. It pays 10 to 1, 20 to 1, right? Yeah. I mean, like, it's a stupid thing for me to say, but like, yeah, I'll give you one of the thirds. Of course you would.
Absolutely.
Right. But 53 to me is not a no-brainer. You know, because it might be like, would you rather have Simpson or Pregnon? You know what I mean? Like, the guys there are going to be pretty good.
Oh, sure. But I don't think they're going to be potential franchise changers like Simpson could.
That's the thing. You know, and frankly, at that price, you're not married to him. If he's not very good, he's not very good. You're still in the market for next year.
Will Levis wasn't a very good second rounder by the Titans, and they still went and got Cam Ward shortly
He was
after,
the first pick in the second round.
Yeah.
And, you know, although if you have the first pick, then a lot of things went wrong.
Sure.
I think you have to say yes. But, like,
second round for Simpson for me is hard to say no to.
yes.
But I'm definitely not putting him in the first round category.
Did you put him in your top 21?
No.
When I wrote down all the names that I'd
But I
considered,
had him in my honorable mentions.
he was one of them, but he was one of my first to delete because I had like 30 there. I'm like, who are the easy deletions? Simpson.
Yes.
You know,
I think he was in one of my 3 or 4 honorable mentions, but he was not in my top 21.
Yeah, mine either. I think you have to say yes. But originally, like, I was just filling up my water between segments, like, I'm going to say no to Simpson in the second round. But but I think you sold me when you
Matt's
said...
out there in the break room gassing himself up. All right, come on. We're going to say no.
You know, between rounds of the fight. But, like, when you said it's like the bet that pays better, it's a smart thing to say yes. You might get a long-term starter in the second round.
You might lose $20,
Yeah.
but you might make $2,000.
You might make $2,000, right?
Yeah.
My problem, though, and one of the reasons why I was leaning towards no, is I don't want him to be good enough that you don't move on from him, but not good enough to be the guy you want. You know, I don't want Matt Schaub for 10 years because he's, you know, the quarterback purgatory problem. Because he might be that guy.
Sure.
You know?
He could be Kirk Cousins.
Yeah,
you know?
that's fine, but I want to swing bigger. If he prevents me from swinging bigger, then it's a detriment, and I don't have a left guard or a wide out or whatever, you know.
That's the most interesting one. And again, if the Steelers were picking 37th, I think it's a different conversation than picking 53.
Yeah, 100%. I would not do it then.
Picking 40th, that's a different conversation than 53.
I would not give up a top 40 pick for him today, for sure.
I think that's fair because those 33 to 40 guys, you're going to love what's still sitting there.
It could be Denzel Boston.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, easily.
Could be KC Concepcion.
Or Cooper, or right, you know, right.
100%, man. Could be one of those offensive linemen. Could be Maxey and H.O.
Yeah, he might get out of the first round.
That to me is the most intriguing, the juiciest one.
Mm-hmm.
Garrett Nussmeier, are you willing to say I would give up the last of my 3 third-round picks, which would be 99th overall, I want to say? I think it's, 76, 85, and 99 for the Steelers in the third round?
Yeah, and on my generic board, not my Steeler board, he's clearly 3. You know, like, I really kind of group them like this. I mean, I group them Mendoza, and I think these next two, Simpson and Nuss, are kind of close.
I think it's closer than the general consensus.
Yeah, and they both have a lot of similarities. Smaller, played injured,
and
dad's a coach.
I think sometimes
not enough experience.
I think sometimes I'm guilty of falling back on this, but I do also think it's a real thing. I think Ty Simpson has the higher ceiling than Nuss, but I think Nuss has a higher floor.
I think that's definitely true.
Like
a little more experience, too.
I think worst case scenario, Nuss could be a quality Mason Rudolph type backup for a while in the league.
I bet he's going to be a plus backup at a minimum, which is pretty good. I mean, again, that's worth a 99th pick.
Ty Simpson could be a Josh Rosen and be out of the league in 5 years.
Maybe. And I
don't think that's going to happen, but
I also think neither one of those guys are what this staff is looking for. I think they want someone that looks like Ben. You know what I mean? I don't think they want.
Too.
I know, and everybody does, of course, but they've said it since the coaching staff's been hired several times. And I know they have a relationship with Nuss and all that stuff.
If these guys were 6'5", it's a different conversation.
Yeah, I think they want big hands, long arms, big bodies. And for that reason, I'm going to say no to the 99th pick. But I think most teams should say yes. the Rams, the Jets, even maybe like the Bengals. I mean, like he's worth that because I think he'll be a good pro, a better than Rudolph pro.
Ooh.
And that's a knock on Mason, but Mason's clearly a 2.
Yeah.
You know, I think Nuss might be a starter. Not the best one in the league, but I'd rather take the safety there. But I'll give you a 4th.
So I was just going to say, you give up 4th for Nuss.
Yeah. I mean, by then you have 5 picks in the books, presumably.
Sure. And you still got a lot of picks to go.
Right. For sure.
Okay, so far, Mendoza round 1, Ty Simpson round 2. We're in lockstep if this is the case. No one round 3, Nuss round 4.
Right. I think the interesting ones are Green and Payton.
Yes, they are. And on my little list that I jotted down here last night when I got home in my notes app, I had Taylon Green and Cole Payton as both I would take in the 5th round.
Okay. See, like, I think Nuss is a better prospect than both.
I think he's a safer prospect than both.
Yeah.
Again, these guys are, if they hit,
they could hit big.
They could hit big.
And frankly, if the Steelers end up with a quarterback in the top 4 or 5 rounds, I think it'll be one of these 2. Because I think they're looking at it the same way. They're big, strong, they have high upside. And I've referenced Jerry Dulac on this a couple times, but I think he tweeted out a while back that if the Steelers draft a quarterback, it'll only be somebody they think has more upside than Howard.
Will Howard, yeah.
And if it's not exactly how you said it, Jerry, I apologize. But I think that logic is very smart.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I don't see Beck. You know, like, I think he's going to be...
Or Aller.
Yeah. Well, he's a different conversation.
Yeah.
Well, let's hold him to side.
Okay.
I just think those 2, with their running ability, their physical traits, could be that dude. And there's a world where I make 4 picks, and at 99, I go, I'm going to take Green.
Yeah. I really like the first 4 picks. The board fell perfectly.
Nailed it.
We got a wide receiver. We got a lineman.
Maybe even traded down in round 1, picked up an extra pick, and I'm going to end day 2 with a high upside guy that I hope never even sees a football field this year. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I would give you the 4th for those 2.
Okay.
So the same as Nuss, but in a way different way of getting there. You know what I mean?
Interesting, because I had them both in the 5th, but I can understand why you would say the 4th. And I have a feeling they both could
But everyone else I'm going to be mean to.
Yeah.
I really am. I like the other ones are like 7s.
And so it's funny. So I had no one that I would take in the 6th. So Mendoza I would take in the 1st. I would swap the Steelers' 1st round pick for. Ty Simpson I would swap 2nd round pick for. Nobody in the 3rd round. Nuss 4th round. Taylon Green and Cole Payton's 5th round.
Okay. You lumped them together too?
Yes.
Okay.
6th round, nobody.
I think I would trade my 6th round pick for Carson Beck right now. I haven't said hardly anything good about him, but I think he'll be Rudolph. And this is getting in the weeds a little bit, but a 6th round pick saves you Rudolph's contract, and you maybe trade Rudolph for a 6th, and you get this guy for 4 years, and maybe he's better than that. There's a couple guys I would think about that logic.
You know, Beck's always been a tough one for me.
He's a tough one for me, too, and I think his ceiling's very low.
He's got the height. He's got the size. He's got a ton of experience,
big
which
games,
is important
big
for
programs,
these
playoffs.
And I think he's got some arm talent.
Yeah.
But we would talk about this. We talked about this too many times in the Around Campus segment, for those of you that have been rocking with us for a while. Where Miami loses a game and he goes to the podium and he has the boo-boo face and he blames his coaches and he blames his teammates and he takes no responsibility and he talks about the game plan not being up to snuff. And
he's not talented enough for that.
I don't.
If he was Josh Allen, I can live with that.
If it's just a vacuum, if I had no stinking clue who Carson Beck was, and you cut on a 20-minute tape for me to watch, I would be interested. But all the other stuff, I can't. I said, Matt, I told you I don't want to be a hypocrite here.
Mm-hmm.
I told you in Around Campus, like back in November, when they went to SMU and they got upset by SMU, and he went to the podium and did the boo-boo face, and he played terrible. He threw like 2 interceptions in the red zone. He went to the podium and did the boo-boo face and blamed the game plan and blamed his teammates and blamed the coaching staff. And I came in here and I said to you that day on the show, I'm out on this guy.
Yeah,
I don't care how good he looks the rest of the way. Forget
I don't want that guy to be my quarterback.
Remind me, I'm out on this guy because his just immaturity and lack of getting it between the brain doesn't work for that position in the National Football League. But I did say that I would take a Carson Beck in the 7th round.
Yeah. I mean, but 6th and 7th rounders
pick.
really just aren't investments, I mean, like Olawulukan was a 7th.
Yes.
I mean, sometimes it's just a camp arm. It's really
exactly right. Like I had Aller in the 7th round too, and
almost all these guys I'd say yes to the 7th.
Sawyer Robinson in the in the 7th.
Yeah. I mean, to kind of cut to the chase, almost all these dudes I'll give you a 7th. Beck I'd give you a 6 just because I think he's got a much better chance to stick than all these other dudes. Back to Aller, though. I'm sure people are like, you're nuts. I'll give you a 3rd for Aller right now.
Yeah, I want to hear your Drew Aller.
I think there's something very missing. I mean, I think people. So Greg Cosell says this really well when he talks about quarterback traits. He's like, yeah, size, arm strength, athleticism are good traits. But there's so much more to the position than being big and throwing the football hard. And I think he's big and throws the football hard.
He totally does.
And I don't think he does hardly anything else well. I don't think he feels the rush well. I don't think he is a natural passer. And by that, I don't mean throwing it 80 yards. I mean with touch or over the linebackers in front of the safety, or I better take a little something off it, or I might have to go sidearm on this throw, or, like all those things. Like, I'm almost certain his background, he never was a thrower. Like, he was never a baseball pitcher. From what I understand, like in 7th or 8th grade, his football coach said, "You're our best player, you're our quarterback." He's not like Nuss that grew up since he could crawl doing quarterback stuff. Mm-hmm. They told him to be a quarterback because it would help the team, and it worked, and he got a scholarship and all that. And the other thing, if you really watch his tape, and I stole this from Todd McShay, guys on the move, he misses all the time. If it's a comeback and here's a stationary target, but receivers aren't usually standing still when you throw him the football. When guys are on the move, he always misses them. That's a terrible trait. Matt, I'm not getting involved in that.
I know
that
it was
program.
15 months ago.
Yeah,
and that's a long time in the football world, especially for someone who Drew Aller. To be fair to him, just recently turned 22.
He might prove me wrong and be good.
Not one of these 24, 25.
Right. There's work to be done there.
But my goodness, if you go back and watch that tape of Penn State's semifinal against Notre Dame in the college football playoff 14, 15 months ago,
when they lost.
I would if I was a diehard Penn Stater, that would haunt me like 13-9.
Mm-hmm.
Like they had so many opportunities to win that game and be in the national championship, and he just missed so many throws. Missed them.
Yeah,
that game was there for the taking so many times, and he just couldn't get the turkey on the table.
Yeah,
I know that
don't know if he's a quarterback.
That was 15 months ago, and for a guy that was 21 at the time. But that's the most recent, really kind of. I mean, I know he had a big game against Oregon before he got hurt, but his 2025 sample size wasn't much either. Yeah. It was 3 games against a really bad team, and then 1 or 2 against Oregon and UCLA before he was out with the ankle. So
now I bet someone is tweeting as we speak. Peyton and Green missed a ton of throws too.
Sure.
Especially Green. And yes, you're right. I just think there's way more to work with there. Yeah, I think if he shortens up his motion, I'm talking about Green. Doesn't overstep as much, does some biomechanical stuff, learns the position better. I think he's a better feel for the. I don't think Aller has any kind of feel for the position. And in all the big moments, he was terrible. I mean, his worst moments are when it mattered most, which is kind of a Penn State thing too. But I mean, he's not for me. Yeah, I'll give you a 7th for him.
Yeah, I'll give you a 7th for him.
I'll give you a 7th for all these guys. Robertson, all those dudes. Even the dude from Tennessee, I think he's a pretty good thrower that might stick in the league. 7th, sure. But I'm not giving you a 5th for hardly any of these dudes.
I think last one that really merits just a minute or two of conversation is Cade Klubnik. Where are you at on him? Would you give a 7th for him? I just feel like
I guess
he was one of those massive names, going to be a first-round pick, another one of those Clemson guys.
I know.
Who just fell off a cliff this year.
I just don't see a lot of traits there either. 7th. But some of these dudes, it's you have to make the decision of, am I keeping him or Rudolph, assuming Rodgers is here or somebody like him. Klubnik, it might just be like, I might just cut him. And really all the 7th rounders, it's like, okay, I'm not trading Rudolph to keep this guy.
Sure,
If he's not, then
if they end up being a camp arm and then you send them on their way, that's not the worst thing in the world.
You're not going to do it with a 4th round pick.
Absolutely. At least you better not be.
Right. Even if they're terrible in camp. Yeah. Between now and cut day, they could be terrible. They're still going to make the team.
I think it's
an interesting exercise, but most years it'd be way more fun.
Next year, this exercise could be a ton of fun.
Oh, yeah.
So we could have 4, 5, 6 guys in the first round. We could have 3 or 4 in the second round.
I'll give you a 3rd for him. Yeah, right.
This might be being a little hyperbolic, Matt, but there could be 10 quarterbacks taken in the top
50.
I was going to say 70 next year.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, buddy. But that was that was fun.
Fun.
That was fun here. We'll always welcome your tweets, your YouTube comments on all this stuff. If you think we were spot on, if you think we missed the mark on any of those guys, but it is certainly a different year for quarterback evaluations.
I struggled with this for a long time. I really struggled with, and a lot of our guests that would have on, Halleck or whoever, I'd always ask them, I'm like, would you draft a quarterback this year? 50% of the people say yes, 50% of them no, and I was on that fence for a long time, and I'm almost entirely to no.
Unless it's like a 7th round.
Peyton or Green.
Okay.
But I think they're going to go higher than I'm willing to spend. I think someone's going to take them on the end of round 3, where I'm thinking 4 for me.
It is a quarterback-starved league, my friend.
I think someone's going to see the traits and be like, well, roll the dice earlier than I would.
On the other side, speaking of, we mentioned Max Starks a little bit earlier today. We also, obviously, quite often mention Mike McCarthy and the new look Steelers offense. Max did a sit-down, a one-on-one for Steelers.com with Mike McCarthy, few minutes. Want to play some of that audio and just some interesting philosophical conversation and some fun Pittsburgh nerding out between, 2 Super Bowl champions between Max Starks and Mike McCarthy. So we'll do some of that. We'll get to some of your tweets as we roll along here in the bottom half of hour number 2. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson. It's The Drive, Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Hour number 2 here on The Drive. Just a few more segments to go on today's award-winning edition, as always, of SNR Drive. And speaking of award-winning, our guy Max Starks, 2-time Super Bowl champion, of course, the co-host of In the Locker Room with Rob King here during the season on the Steelers Audio Network. Max was able to do some one-on-one interviews for Steelers.com with the trio of the Steelers brass, Mr. Rooney, Omar Khan, and, of course, new head coach Mike McCarthy. And I wanted to hear the conversation between McCarthy and Max Starks. I thought there was some good Pittsburgh Steelers lore and history conversation in there. And then just Max, a guy who played offensive tackle in the National Football League, Mike McCarthy, known as being an offensive-minded head coach. I thought just some good questions by Max and some really interesting philosophical conversations from what we can expect from Mike McCarthy, particularly that offense, but just everything in general as he heads into his first year as the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Here's Max Starks with Mike McCarthy.
Coach McCarthy, thank you for sitting down with us here at the owners' meetings. For you specifically, now that you've had time to relax and kind of get settled back into Pittsburgh, how has it been driving to work back home in Pittsburgh? How has that process been now?
The drive to work and home it's incredible. It's something that I don't even think you can dream about it because I'm literally driving the streets that I grew up on. So, Greenfield Avenue, 2nd Avenue across the bridge and right down Water Street. So it's still a bit surreal. I'm loving every minute of it, but it's football. There's a lot of work to do. Year one is always the hardest year. I've been through it a couple times. As an assistant. So really, we just have had our head down and just trying to grind and make sure we're ready to go when the players come back.
Obviously, this time of year, a lot of guys don't get into the building that frequently. That'll happen once OTAs start. But how important is it to kind of communicate and lean on veterans like a TJ Watt, a Cam Hayward and company to kind of impart kind of what the philosophy and your style is? How has that process been thus far?
I mean, it's very important. I mean, this Pittsburgh Steelers has an incredible history and tradition. We're all aware of that, but also it does have a history of winning currently. So, TJ and Cam are part of that. And, I had early conversations with both men. They just want a chance to win it all before, their career comes to an end. So, very receptive. They just want to be part of the messaging, the new direction. So, basically both said, hey, coaches, tell us what you want. So, and really, everybody in that locker room currently, that's who will impact, this upcoming season. The new players are very important. The veterans, get them acclimated. Then we got the rookie class, but these veterans, they know the Pittsburgh Steeler way, and we're just taking a little different path. So we're not trying to change. We're not going to change colors. Yeah. We're not going to get new uniforms. Yeah. So we want to build off all the greatness that's been here for decades.
And speaking of that, players coming back, you've added some quality free agents. And how did you identify, and how was that process figuring out who those guys were and to go target and then, of course, acquire those players?
Yeah, definitely. I'm big into play style and in physical profiles. So I think you see the common thread of everybody who we signed. I think it's a great addition to our roster. So we don't feel like we have to go into the draft and say, hey, we need this. Position-wise, we can really trust our board. We have a lot of picks. This is Omar and I's first draft class together. So, I'm a believer in, it's a program shift. Obviously, Mike's had incredible success there for 19 seasons. So we want this to be a launching point for our new program.
Some of those additions, we talked about the physical profile. Michael Pittman, obviously put him with DK Metcalf. That's a dynamic duo. But when you're talking about that group, it's an imposing group. And how exciting is it to have all these kind of big physical types on the offensive side of the ball?
You played there. I mean, it's a style play. The division, it's been that way for just watching them play in the 70s. So, it's a style of football that we're going to play. So Michael, DK, we learned from last year. We want to move these guys around. I think your perimeter targets, it's important for the quarterback to be conceptually ingrained to his footwork and understand the concept and the ability to move your perimeter pieces around to create matchups. So, adding Michael gives us that flexibility.
A lot of questions have been asked about the quarterback position. Can you give us any insights to where we are with Aaron Rodgers right now?
Yes, I mean, Aaron and I have had continuous dialogue pretty much every week. And we'll continue to talk. He's, looking at the different things that are going on in his life, and I would say he's in a very positive headspace. So we're kind of working through that, and we'll get a decision.
Steelers organization has not gone through changes very often, as you very well know. Just kind of talk about this time of year, the priorities when you're bringing in a whole new coaching staff, right? So you have a lot of new faces in there, and like you said, the veterans having the different impacts. But how is that? What's the priority this time of year with the new coaching staff, where you guys are at?
I mean, the focus has always been on the draft, player acquisition, veteran free agency, and the draft. So player acquisition and then scheme implementation. So that's really, we're finishing up. Defense is always a little further ahead than offense, a little more. Like I always tell defense guys, we got to tell you where to line up. So we got a little more to do. But so we're kind of wrapping that up right now because we want to be able to get it to the players through the phase 1 and 2 and make sure they're comfortable before we really can get out on the field and go full speed in OTAs.
That time of year, getting the guys back in the building really and in force with a group of guys, how important is that time of year, and what are you looking to accomplish in the OTA period?
Anytime you can have your whole football team together, I think is an important opportunity that you should try to take advantage of. So, when we get to the OTAs, we'll go to a little different format. We'll spend the first 2 phases, teaching everything conceptually, and then we get to OTAs, we'll do more installation type, first and second down, and try to exercise more of I would call it traditional install that that we've been part of. So, but we want to get as much teaching. As much teaching we possibly can throughout those OTAs.
And as the draft comes up, how involved is the coaching staff in the draft process, given, where we're at? How involved are they?
Very involved. I mean, our coaches have, we've written a lot of reports on a lot of draft picks, so I really like the collaboration between personnel and coaching. And I think at the end of the day, it's about getting that board ranked, getting the board right. And then we just got to have the discipline, trust the board. But yeah, I think the collaboration and really I like the way the personnel and coaches have been gelling.
Now, draft is in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, how about that?
Right there on the Three Rivers, or the confluence of Three Rivers, as my good buddy Craig Wolfley used to say. You have 12 picks. How do you approach your first draft as a head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, knowing you have that type of capital at your disposal?
Patience and discipline. I've always looked at the draft, a lot like preparing a game plan for the Super Bowl. Just there's so much work that goes into that. You spent the whole year. These scouts have been banging on these guys for years. The amount of information that's collected and the ability to now bring it together. And let's not forget about the conversations that took place back in November and January. And when we get to the final grade, let's just trust it and bring them in. And then you cannot have enough good football players, Max. That's one thing I do know about this league. So.
Absolutely, and happy to have a good one leading that charge of you, Coach Brock. Thanks for taking the time to sit down with us.
Well, thank you. It's great visiting with you.
All right, appreciate it.
That's two guys I could just listen to them talking football all day. Mike McCarthy and Max Starks, a great one-on-one there with a couple of Super Bowl champions to boot between the 3 rings between those two. Not too shabby at all. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson, we will close down the show with your tweets on the other side before we get up out of here on this Tuesday. You know where to get at us if you want to get involved. It is The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Final segment today on this Tuesday of The Drive. You know what that means. It's time to turn it over to you fine people on the X Twitter, in the YouTube comments, wherever you want to participate. We always welcome it, but particularly this time of year. Matt, good one from Craig here, who says, with the extra ammo and the unlikelihood of making 12 picks, at what point in round 1 would you guys consider thinking about trading up for one of these premium players like Fanu, Styles, Love, or Downs?
Well, first off, I don't think we've brought this up enough, but I'm really warming up to trading up in round 2 more so than round 1.
I would agree with you on that.
Because I think you mentioned it before, like you wouldn't give up a top 40 pick for Simpson. And I think 40 or so is pretty different than 53. And it would not cost you much to get to 39, 40, 41. You might get Concepcion there or Cooper or somebody that we've even talked about in round 1. I know that's not the question. But I just finished, you can find on Steelers.com probably tonight or tomorrow. Max Starks, Mike Pursuta, and I did a triple take mock draft situation.
First round?
First round only. We mocked every team.
Yeah.
Like we do 2 versions. We either do that or we pick them as a group. Next week we'll pick the first 3 rounds for the Steelers.
Gotcha.
Like how we do a Steelers mock.
Sure.
We'll do that on live on the air next week. But anyway, we each had a mock and we just compared them and blah, blah, blah. And after we were done, Pursuta kept asking, he's like, how about where would you guys move up for Venga?
I love these inside jokes that we got going here.
And I thought Max said it well. He's like, I'd probably go to about 17. Because that's probably like a third round, like 13-ish, get ahead of the Ravens.
It would not cost you as much as you think to move up 3 or 4 picks.
Yeah, that's the thing, especially in this draft. People are going to be looking to go down. I don't think you have to give up something next year. But I don't think I'd have a real hard time giving up the second rounder. Like Mike mentioned, he said, he did one of these mocks on his own. He said, I did the draft value chart and I gave up Steelers first and second to go get Venga. And he said, and that got me to like 13. I'm like, I'm out on that. Yeah, I'm not sure I can give you 1 and 2 for him.
Yeah.
I mean, I would for Mendoza. I mean, there's certain players, but I mean, I think if you trade up, he's probably think maybe he's like the most likely trade up guy? Just because he's the number. But, I mean, no one trades up for a guard.
That's the thing.
That's no one does.
If you were to ask me right now the most likely trade up guy, first round,
yeah,
I would think it might be like a Fanu.
Fanu's a good name for that. That's a real good name for that.
Because
I think I'm going to have Fanu ahead of Venga on my top 21. That's still be determined.
Fanu
but
is
that's a comment.
Teaser for tomorrow, and I could change my mind by then too.
That's why I wanted to give it a day to look at it.
And Matt and I both yesterday we were like, we have these lists done, but let's wait till Wednesday. Give it some time to marinate.
I wanted it to marinate before we throw the meat on the grill, right?
Fanu's he's in my top 10, and he's my second offensive lineman on the list.
Yeah, he's really high for me too.
Yeah,
and because I love the chance he might be a tackle too, because he might be as good a guard as Venga.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think that's crazy talk.
I don't either.
He's definitely more mobile, and he might be a better guard for this system than Venga. I don't know if I could get. Would you give up 53 and 21 for Fanu?
It's probably a little too rich.
Because then I'm too short at receiver.
If I'm giving up,
then I'm trading like 2/3 to get back in the second
right.
for and that might work, but it's not the plan.
Not the plan. I don't want to give up 53. If I'm going to do anything, I want to move from 53 to 43.
Yeah. I'm not giving up next year's first or second for any reason whatsoever on draft weekend.
Maybe not even a third.
Probably not.
Next year either.
But yeah, it'd be really hard for me to give up 53 unless I'm giving up 53 to get the 40. You know what I mean? Move up in the second round.
Sudesh tweets us and says, I didn't really become obsessed with the draft until a few years ago when I really started watching college football. What about you guys? All right, Sudesh, are you trying to wind us up here? You're one of the regulars.
I mean, since I could crawl.
We've had this conversation. This has been another one of the
right.
inside joke debate. Matt loves the NFL draft. It's his favorite thing in the world. I like the NFL draft.
Yeah. I mean, when they were magazines, I owned every magazine that they sold in 1982. I think I threw them all away, but you're even too young for this. But Mel Kiper put out his Blue Book.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm too young for it, but I know what you're referencing.
I think I threw them out, but I think I owned every one from like 1981 on. And I was born in 73. I mean, like basically since I could read.
And when I was a kid, I was still young enough when the draft was at Radio City Music Hall, and I don't remember if it was all one day then or if it was split into 2 days, but
yeah.
I still remember when the draft was not nearly the event that it is now.
Oh, no.
And I really enjoyed it as a kid.
Yeah.
And WVU football was much better when I was a kid, so we had a lot more guys getting drafted than we have the last decade.
That's fun, too, yeah.
So I enjoyed that element of it, too.
I mean, I've told this a million times. I mean, my mom was not very gentle about, hey, you're sick, you got to go. I went to school. I think
Sudesh is winding us up on that one.
Yeah, here's an aspirin. But back then, they were on a Thursday or a Wednesday or whatever. I stayed home every draft. She knew that, I stayed home. Now, I hope I haven't screwed this story up, and I wish my buddy AJ was sitting next to me. But you know how stories get embellished over the years. But my good buddy AJ, I'm almost certain we met in science class in 7th grade because we came from different grade schools. So back then you didn't know the other kids from the grade schools.
Yes.
Maybe you played sports against them, but the world was smaller. And I think I had to go to school on draft day. And I remember back then I had a radio with an earplug in science class. And he tells a story of me jumping out of my chair.
Rod Woodson?
They got Rod Woodson. And he comes right, Steeler fan, who's Rod Woodson, Matt? And I'm like, oh, I'll tell you about Rod Woodson. I think that's true, but someone might look back and be like, Rod Woodson was drafted on a Saturday, Matt, you're wrong.
Sure.
My mind remembers it being true.
I like your version of the
story. My
story.
version's much better.
And see, Matt was sneaking in his transistor radio to listen to the draft. I was doing that to listen to March Madness.
There was no internet
and college basketball tournaments and games that were on at noon.
Yeah.
I liked
you couldn't
the draft.
follow along live unless you were listening.
That's funny. We've had this same conversation now. I think Sudesh is winding us up. He's one of our regulars. He knows what's good.
He knows.
Ian tweets us, another one of our regulars, and says, "What's good, gents?" Peter Schrager put out his first mock draft today. He has T.J. Parker going to the Steelers at 21. I respect Schrag. He has been historically pretty accurate, but with that being said, there's no way in hell this happens, right? Yeah, we did talk about that at the start of the show. I'd be shocked.
Imagine.
I would be shocked. Bridgeburner tweets us.
Maybe they'd take a third-round edge just because he's too good to be true, or a fourth-round edge, but
Not at pick 21.
No.
With all those guys that were still on the board.
I can't imagine.
Bridgeburner tweets us and says, could you guys please take a few minutes to compare the rosters and the talent of this year's Steelers defense versus last year's Raiders defense and surmise what you think Patrick Graham might be able to do? Yes, we can, just not right now.
Frankly, other than Max Crosby, they may only have like one other guy that would start for the Steelers.
Let's do that this week.
Yeah.
We can spend a few minutes on that this week.
Yeah.
I'm
sure we can find a depth chart from last year.
Maybe tomorrow or Thursday, because that's a good exercise.
It's pathetic. I mean, Christian Wilkins was like their next best player, didn't play a snap all year. The Steelers would have like 9 of the 11 starters.
RJ tweets and says, what's your guys' thoughts on Jeremy Bernard? I really like his game. Reminds me of Deebo Samuel. If you took O-line in round 1, would he be a trade pick 53 for him right now type guy for you guys?
I like him. He is physical. I don't think he's as explosive with the ball in his hands as Deebo, and I don't want to give him carries. I don't love that comparison, but I think they have similar body types. I think he's more of a professional Robert Woods, not the Steeler version, the previous
in his prime,
version.
1,000-yard seasons. Yeah.
Right, that knows where to be, probably a number 3 his whole career, and you're happy he's your 3. You know what I mean? And frankly, you'd probably know this better than me, but Williams is their big stud at Bama, right?
Oh, yeah, Javonte, but yes, Williams, the wide receiver, the young guy.
Yeah. Young guy. I mean, he's been compared to like the Ohio State dude. Like he's been
him and Jeremiah Smith were on the cover of college football. Game last year.
Well, from what I understand, as the season went on, Bernard became the one.
Yes,
more or less over him, and I don't know if it was injuries or what.
His stock went down a little bit. This year. I mean, he's still projected as a
lot of things went wrong
pick,
in Bama
but as
the season went on. But
I guess they went like 9-3 or whatever.
And
that's a disaster.
But like Simpson was much worse at the end of the beginning, and injuries and blah blah blah. But I don't think Bernard has a real high ceiling. Like, I would hope you could do a little better at 53, but I would understand it if there's 8 receivers off the board.
Tony tweets and says, set aside what the Steelers might do. Would you guys consider just trading this year's 21st overall pick, the first rounder, for another team's 2027 first round pick with the thought of getting your quarterback in 2027?
So he's asking if you'd trade 21 straight up for a first?
A team's future first.
No. I mean, they would have to be.
If it was like the Jets.
There's like 5 teams.
Or the Browns.
Right.
Then I definitely would.
Then I would. But
Arizona Cardinals, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I was say there's like 5 teams where you can really root against them all year.
But now, if it was your 21st and maybe you get a second rounder this year and a first rounder next year,
can I get at least? Can I give you 21 and a 3 for your 2 this year and
next
your
year?
First?
Yeah, some other extra
and there's other teams I do
Tony.
that with. I do that with several teams that I don't think are Super Bowl worthy, but aren't the total dregs of society either.
Total dregs of society right now.
Like, would you do that with Indy or Washington?
Ooh.
Like Washington tells
Washington can bounce back big time, though, because they have the quarterback.
Right.
Indy, even if Daniel Jones returns to form, he's still coming back from injury. It's going to take some time.
Probably middle of the road like they always are.
Yeah.
It'd be real useful to have their first.
But if you trade your first 21 this year...
Indy's a perfect example. Okay, Indy's GM calls you and says, we don't have a first this year. We think we have our quarterback locked up in Daniel Jones. We think we have our corner because we traded for Sauce. We think we're a great team that can win it all because look how good we were.
We kept Alec Pierce.
Right. I'll give you a third this year. No. I'll give you our second, which is our first pick in this draft, and our first next year for one of your thirds and your first. I'm saying yes.
To that, I might say yes.
Yeah.
And you still keep your second for this year. So you have 2 seconds.
You got 2 mid-seconds. You get 2 late thirds for this draft, and you have 2 firsts next year.
Yes.
Yeah. Like they say, I'll give you our second and next year's first for a 1 and a 3.
The concern in my mind is that the Colts...
I'm definitely doing that.
The Colts have a similar 8 or 9 win season.
I'm assuming they will.
And that pick is 16.
And knowing both teams, it sounds rough, but they're like two of the most predictable teams in the last 5 years. Colts pick like 15, the Steelers pick like 20.
But you know what?
You can do a lot with that.
But maybe you're at 16, right? You're at 16 and 21 next year.
Yeah.
With your pick and the Colts pick. But the Raiders are at pick 7.
And they have a quarterback.
Like
Right.
there's an easy way to get
Tennessee,
there.
or
Tennessee, the easy way to get there.
Yeah. There's going to be somebody picking it high that has a quarterback. I'm definitely doing that. And, plant this seed. Maybe you trade Mike Tomlin to the Tampa Bay Bucks for their first pick, too. And you have 3 picks between 14 and 22.
Now you're really speaking my language.
I mean, I would definitely do that kind of deal with the Colts. And they might do it.
When you lay it out like that way, it is very hard to say no to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that seems like the type of thing we'd be.
2 seconds in this draft.
Yes.
I'll get something good. I'll
Yes.
get a guard and a receiver.
I'm on board with that.
And 2 thirds, and 2 fourths.
The real kicker for there to me is having 2 second-round picks, because I think you could almost, because what's the Colts second round pick? It would be like 46
before the Steelers.
A few
mid 40s, I'm guessing.
But man, you could still, with mid 40, 46, 47, whatever it is, and 53, you could still come away with 2 players that you really like.
Yeah. I might even trade next year's third to move up again, because I have 2 firsts.
I didn't even think about the potentially trading Mike
there's all
Tomlin
kinds of
a year from now, and then you end up with 3 first-round draft picks next year.
Yeah.
And then you go, hey, Tennessee or
right,
or
take 2
Las
of these,
Vegas or whoever's picking
take
in the
all
top
3
10.
and give us all kinds of stuff. Right.
Ooh, buddy. All right. Well, let's table that for now. That was a fun way to end the show today. Good questions.
Some of them you got to think through. Originally I'd be like, no, I'm not doing that. But,
Right. We'll wait and see. That was a fun show today. We kind of bobbed and weaved, a little different. We did little tweets in the first hour, little tweets in the second hour after a big, beefy participation hour yesterday. We'll get back into more of your guys' questions tomorrow. We'll also, for the first time, unveil our Steelers top 21.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Tomorrow at 4:00. Be there, or, well, I guess you can always listen in podcast
email
form.
it to you? I'm not going to email it
No,
to you.
I don't want to see it.
Cheat off my paper.
I don't want to see it ahead of time.
Listen,
I've had mine done for over 24 hours now. Right? I don't want to hear about cheating off you. I turned in my assignment.
All right.
We should both turn them into TV.
I might
like it's
actually
like
have
a
to bring a laptop in. Print it out like Pursuta would.
Oh, there you go. Do the Mike Pursuta and print off a 30,
tomorrow's Beast Day too.
30-page. Oh, it is.
I
it's
think tomorrow's Beast Day.
Beast Day.
That's a big day in the draft cycle.
He's probably not very busy. We could probably get him on the show.
Oh yeah. I think you said he's all week is just like every minute.
It was cracking me up when he was talking about it on the Athletic podcast. He was like, the Beast comes out, and then for 3 straight days, I'm just on the phone with different radio stations across the country.
I listened to it since you said that, because they said, oh, do you just like relax with a steak and
a
bottle of wine?
Do you relax with a steak and a glass of wine? And he's like, no, actually, I spend 3 days on the phone or on the Zoom screen doing appearances.
Until the draft is over. Then I guess you can a bottle of wine, yeah.
Our top 21 tomorrow. More hijinks, more tomfoolery, more tweets, all that good stuff. Big thanks to TV, Mr. TV, producing on the video side, as always, for Matt Williamson. I'm Wes Uhler. Take care, everybody. We'll talk soon. As always, you know where to find us. It's on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network.